Alex had been working at the advertising agency for about 2 years when she joined the team. Her name was Maya, and she had this warm smile that could light up the entire office. She was the kind of person who remembered everyone's birthday and always brought extra coffee for whoever looked tired. At first, Alex tried to keep things professional. Maya was his teammate, after all, and workplace relationships could get complicated. But there was something about her laugh, the way she tucked her hair behind her ear when she was concentrating, that made it hard to focus on spreadsheets and marketing reports. The strange things started happening in their third week working together. Alex was sitting across from Maya during a team meeting, and his mind wandered for just a moment. He found himself thinking about how pretty she looked in that blue dress, wondering what she did on weekends, imagining what it would be like to take her out for dinner. Nothing too wild, just the kind of thoughts that pop into your head when you find someone attractive. Right then, Maya took this sharp breath, almost like a small gasp. She looked around the room for a second, seeming confused, then went back to taking notes as if nothing had happened. Alex thought it was weird timing. But these things happen, right? Maybe she remembered something important, or maybe the air conditioning kicked in and surprised her. But then it happened again 2 days later. Alex was walking past Maya's desk when he caught a whiff of her perfume. His brain immediately went to wondering what it would be like to be close enough to smell that scent all the time. And just like that, Maya made this little sound, like she was catching her breath. This time, Alex paid attention. Maya's cheeks turned slightly pink, and she seemed to lose her train of thought mid-sentence while talking to their colleague Jake about the Johnson account. Over the next few days, Alex started noticing a pattern that made his stomach flip with both excitement and worry. Every single time his thoughts drifted toward Maya and what he knew was probably inappropriate workplace thinking, she would react. Not every time he looked at her or talked to her, only when his mind went to those places he knew it shouldn't go. When he thought about how nice her voice sounded, she would clear her throat. When he wondered what her hand would feel like in his, she would suddenly put her hands in her lap. When his mind wandered to more romantic thoughts, she would shift in her chair or suddenly reach for her water bottle. The weirdest part was that Maya never seemed to realize she was doing it. She would have these little reactions, then continue whatever she was doing like nothing happened. But Alex was starting to feel like he was going crazy. He began testing it without meaning to. During their morning stand-up meeting, while Maya was talking about her weekend plans, Alex let his mind drift to wondering what those weekend plans might look like if he was part of them. Immediately, Maya stumbled over her words and took a quick breath. At lunch, when Maya was laughing at something their boss said, Alex found himself thinking about how much he liked hearing her laugh, how he wished he was the one making her laugh like that. Right on cue, Maya's laughter died down and she touched her throat gently. By the end of the week, Alex was completely freaked out. Either he was losing his mind, or somehow Maya was picking up on his thoughts. Both options seemed impossible. But the timing was too perfect to ignore. He started paying attention to his own behavior, wondering if maybe he was making faces or giving off signals without realizing it. Alex practiced keeping a completely neutral expression while having these thoughts, but Maya still reacted every single time. The guilt was starting to eat at him. If Maya really could somehow sense what he was thinking, then wasn't he basically bothering her without her permission? But he couldn't seem to control his thoughts, especially now that he was so aware of her reactions. Maya, meanwhile, seemed to be getting more flustered at work. She would lose track of conversations, drop things, or suddenly seem distracted. Alex noticed she started avoiding being alone with him, always making sure Jake or someone else was around when they needed to discuss projects. The whole situation was making Alex feel terrible, but he had no idea how to make it stop or even if what he was thinking was really happening. Alex couldn't sleep for 3 nights straight. He lay in bed thinking about the impossible situation at work. By Monday morning, he had convinced himself that he was just being paranoid. There was no way Maya could actually sense his thoughts. That kind of thing only happened in movies. But he couldn't let it go. The scientist in him, the part that had gotten him through business school, needed to know for sure. So Alex decided to do what any reasonable person would do when faced with something impossible. Tested properly, the opportunity came during their weekly team meeting. Everyone was gathered around the conference table, going through quarterly numbers. Maya was sitting 3 seats away, taking notes and nodding along as their manager talked about growth targets. Alex waited until Maya seemed completely focused on the presentation. Then, very deliberately, he allowed himself to think about her, not in a creepy way, just wondering what it would be like to hold her hand during a movie, or what she might look like first thing in the morning with messy hair and sleepy eyes. Maya's pen stopped moving. She took a small, sharp breath and looked around the room quickly, as if trying to figure out where a sound had come from. Then she went back to her notes, but Alex noticed her handwriting looked a little shaky now. His heart was pounding. This was actually happening. Over the next few days, Alex found himself running more tests. Even though part of him knew he should stop, he discovered that the type of thoughts seemed to matter. When he thought sweet, romantic things about Maya, she would sigh softly or smile slightly without seeming to know why. When his thoughts were more intense or physical, her reactions were stronger too. During a coffee break, Alex was standing near the kitchen when Maya walked by. He let himself imagine what it would be like to kiss her, really kiss her. Not just a quick peck, but the kind of kiss that makes your knees weak. Maya, who had been reaching for a coffee cup, suddenly gripped the counter and closed her eyes for a moment. When she opened them, she looked confused and slightly dizzy. Alex felt horrible. This was definitely not okay. He was somehow affecting Maya without her knowledge or consent, and it was clearly becoming a problem for her. She was making mistakes at work, seeming distracted and uncomfortable. But every time he tried to stop thinking about her, knowing that she might react made it even harder to control his thoughts. The breaking point came on a Thursday afternoon. Alex and Maya were working late on a presentation for a big client. They were alone in the conference room, laptops open, papers spread everywhere. Maya was explaining her ideas for the campaign, and Alex was genuinely trying to focus on work. But Maya had taken off her blazer because the room was warm, and she was gesturing with her hands as she talked, and Alex found his attention drifting. He started thinking about how passionate she got about her work, how attractive that passion was, how much he wanted to know what she was passionate about outside of work too. Maya suddenly stopped talking mid-sentence. She was looking right at Alex, and her cheeks were flushed. For a long moment, they just stared at each other. Then Maya shook her head, as if clearing it, and said she needed some air. After Maya left, Alex sat alone in the conference room, feeling sick with guilt. This had gone too far. Whatever was happening between them, it wasn't fair to Maya. She was clearly being affected by something she couldn't understand or control. And Alex was the cause of it. He spent the rest of the evening researching online, typing in crazy search terms like telepathic connections and can people sense thoughts. Most of what he found was either complete nonsense or scientific articles explaining why telepathy was impossible. But buried in forums and personal blogs, he found a few stories from people claiming to have experienced similar things. One story particularly stuck with him. A woman wrote about how she always knew when her husband was thinking about her romantically, even when they were in different rooms. She described the same kinds of physical reactions Maya was having. The woman said it had taken them months to figure out what was happening, and even longer to learn how to deal with it. By Friday morning, Alex had made a decision. He couldn't keep doing this to Maya. He had to either find a way to control his thoughts completely, or he had to tell her what was happening. Both options terrified him, but doing nothing was making things worse for both of them. The question was, how do you tell someone that they might be reading your mind? The weekend gave Alex no peace. He spent Saturday and Sunday trying to practice meditation apps, hoping to learn how to control his thoughts better. But every technique seemed to make him think about Maya more, not less. The harder he tried not to think about her smile, her laugh, the way she bit her lip when she was concentrating, the more those images filled his mind. Monday morning came too soon. Alex arrived at work early, hoping to avoid Maya until he figured out what to say. But she was already there, sitting at her desk with a cup of coffee that had clearly gone cold. She looked tired, like maybe she hadn't slept well either morning. "Alex," she said when she saw him, but her voice sounded strained. "Can we talk about the Henderson project when you have a minute?" Alex's heart started racing. This was exactly what he'd been dreading, being alone with Maya, knowing that any wandering thought could affect her, but he couldn't avoid her forever. Without making things even weirder, they found an empty meeting room, and Maya spread out the project files on the table as she explained the client's feedback. Alex tried desperately to keep his mind on business, but Maya seemed different today. She kept losing her train of thought, and her hands were shaking slightly as she turned the pages. "Are you okay?" Alex asked, genuinely concerned. "You seem upset about something." Maya looked up at him, and for a moment, Alex thought she was going to say something important. But then she just shook her head and went back to the files. "I'm fine. Just tired, I guess." That's when Alex made his mistake, looking at Maya's tired face. He felt this wave of tenderness wash over him. He found himself thinking about how much he wanted to take care of her, to hold her and tell her everything would be okay, to kiss away whatever was making her look so worried. Maya dropped the entire stack of papers. They scattered across the floor, and she bent down quickly to pick them up, but Alex could see that her face had gone bright red, and her breathing had gotten faster. "Maya," Alex said, crouching down to help with the papers. "Something's wrong. Please tell me what's going on." Maya sat back on her heels, papers forgotten, and looked at Alex with eyes that seemed close to tears. "I don't know," she whispered. "I keep having these moments, these feelings that come out of nowhere. It's like my body is reacting to things that aren't happening, and it only happens when you're around." Alex felt his stomach drop. She knew. Maybe not exactly what was happening, but she knew it was connected to him. "What kind of feelings?" he asked quietly. Maya's face got even redder. "I can't explain it. It's like someone is thinking about me, really thinking about me, and I can almost feel what they're thinking, but not quite. It makes me feel crazy." Alex's hands were shaking now too. This was really happening. Maya was actually picking up on his thoughts somehow, and it was clearly distressing her. "How long has this been going on?" he asked. "About 2 weeks," Maya said, gathering up the papers with jerky movements. "Ever since we started working closely together, I thought maybe I was getting sick, or stressed, or having some kind of anxiety thing. But it only happens around you, Alex, only around you." They sat there on the conference room floor, surrounded by scattered papers, both of them looking scared and confused. Alex knew he had to tell her the truth. "But how do you explain something that sounds completely insane?" "Maya," he said slowly, "I think I know what's happening, but you're going to think I'm crazy." Maya looked at him with desperate eyes. "At this point, I'll believe anything. I feel like I'm losing my mind." Alex took a deep breath. "I think you're somehow picking up on my thoughts, specifically my thoughts about you." Instead of laughing or getting angry, Maya went very still. "What do you mean every time I have a thought about you that's romantic or more than friendly, you react, you gasp or sigh or drop things? The timing is always perfect. It's like you can feel what I'm thinking." Maya stared at him for a long moment. Then, to Alex's surprise, she didn't deny it. "I thought I was going crazy," she said quietly. "But that would explain so much, the feelings, the timing. Why it only happens around you." She paused. "What exactly have you been thinking about me?" Alex felt his face burn with embarrassment. "I find you attractive, Maya, more than attractive. And sometimes my mind wanders to what it would be like if we were more than just co-workers." Maya was quiet for a long time, processing this information. Finally, she looked up at him. "So every time I've been having these strange feelings, it's because you were thinking about me romantically." Alex nodded, feeling miserable. "I'm so sorry. I had no idea this was happening to you. I would never have let it continue if I'd known it was causing you distress." Maya surprised him by not getting angry. Instead, she seemed thoughtful. "The weird thing is," she said slowly, The feelings weren't entirely unpleasant. Confusing and overwhelming, yes, but not unpleasant. They looked at each other, both of them trying to process what this meant for them, for their working relationship, for everything. The rest of that Monday was awkward beyond words. Alex and Maya barely spoke, both of them trying to process their morning conversation. Alex found himself walking on eggshells, terrified that any stray thought might affect Maya. But the harder he tried not to think about her, the more impossible it became. Maya, meanwhile, seemed to be hyper-aware of every little reaction her body had. Every time she took a sharp breath or felt her cheeks warm, she would glance at Alex with a mixture of curiosity and embarrassment. By Tuesday, they both looked exhausted. Their coworkers started noticing that something was off between them. Jake asked Alex if everything was okay, and Priya mentioned to Maya that she seemed distracted lately. Wednesday evening, Maya approached Alex as he was packing up to leave. "We need to talk more about this," she said quietly. "Meet me at the coffee shop on 5th Street after work." Alex's heart hammered as he nodded. He had no idea what Maya was thinking or feeling about their situation, and that uncertainty was almost worse than the original problem. The coffee shop was busy with the after-work crowd, which gave them some privacy in the noise. Maya had already gotten them both drinks and found a corner table by the time Alex arrived. "I've been doing research," Maya said without preamble, sliding a coffee toward him. "About what's happening to us." Double quotes. Alex raised his eyebrows. "You found something?" Maya pulled out her phone and showed him several bookmarked articles and forum posts. "It's not common, but it's not unheard of either. There are documented cases of people developing telepathic connections, usually between people who have strong emotional bonds or spend a lot of time together." Alex scrolled through the links, amazed. "So we're not completely crazy." "Apparently not," Maya said with a small smile. "Though the scientific community doesn't exactly embrace this stuff. Most of the information comes from personal accounts and alternative research." They spent the next hour going through what Maya had found. Stories of couples who could sense each other's emotions from across town. Parents who always knew when their children were in trouble. Best friends who could finish each other's thoughts literally, not just figuratively. "The interesting thing," Maya said, stirring her latte thoughtfully, "is that most of these connections seem to work both ways eventually. Right now, I'm picking up on your thoughts about me, but according to what I've read, you might start picking up on my feelings too." Alex felt a flutter of nervousness. "How do you feel about me, Maya?" "I mean, I've been accidentally broadcasting my thoughts to you for weeks, but I have no idea what you actually think about all this." Maya was quiet for a long moment, looking down at her coffee. When she finally looked up, her cheeks were pink. "The honest truth, I've been attracted to you since my second week here. I notice how kind you are to everyone, how you always help people with their projects even when you're swamped with your own work. And you're not exactly hard to look at either," she added with a shy smile. Alex felt relief wash over him. Really, but I was trying to keep things professional, especially since I was new. When these strange feelings started happening, part of me was frustrated, but part of me was also excited. It felt like getting a glimpse into someone's private thoughts about me, and those thoughts were sweet and romantic and made me feel desired in a way I hadn't felt in a long time. Alex reached across the table and took Maya's hand. The moment their fingers touched, Maya gasped softly, and Alex felt a warm, tingly sensation spread up his arm. "Did you feel that?" Maya asked, eyes wide. Alex nodded. "It's starting to work both ways, isn't it?" They sat there holding hands, both of them marveling at the strange connection they seemed to be developing. Alex could sense something from Maya now, a feeling of happiness mixed with nervousness and excitement. "So what do we do about this?" Maya asked. "I mean, about us, and about work, and about this weird telepathic thing we have going on." Alex squeezed her hand gently. "I think we take it slow. We figure out how to manage this connection so it doesn't interfere with our jobs. And maybe we see where things go between us, if you're interested." Maya smiled. And Alex felt a wave of warmth that he was pretty sure wasn't entirely his own emotion. "I'm definitely interested," she said, "though we should probably establish some ground rules. I don't think I can handle you broadcasting romantic thoughts about me during board meetings." Alex laughed. "Deal. Though you should know that controlling my thoughts about you is going to be the hardest thing I've ever done." "Good. Thing I like a challenge," Maya said. And Alex felt her amusement and affection wash over him like sunshine. 3 months later, Alex and Maya had gotten pretty good at managing their unusual connection. They practiced together, learning how to tune into each other's feelings and how to dial it back when they needed privacy or focus. At work, they developed a system. If one of them was starting to broadcast too strongly, they had a simple code. Maya would tap her pen twice on her desk, or Alex would adjust his tie. It was their signal to take a mental step back and refocus on professional thoughts. Their colleagues gradually noticed that Alex and Maya had started dating, but nobody suspected the real reason behind their incredibly strong bond. How could they? Most people would never believe that two people could actually feel each other's emotions and pick up on each other's thoughts. The connection had indeed become two-way. Just like Maya's research had suggested, Alex could now sense when Maya was happy, stressed, excited, or upset, even from across the office. Maya could feel Alex's moods too, and sometimes his thoughts came through clearly enough that she could practically hear his voice in her head. It made for the most intimate relationship either of them had ever experienced. They never had to guess what the other person was feeling. They could sense each other's needs, offer comfort exactly when it was needed, and share joy in a way that felt almost magical. But it also required a lot of trust and communication. They had to learn how to give each other mental space, how to respect the boundary between sharing thoughts and having privacy. Sometimes Maya needed to feel her own emotions without Alex's feelings mixing in. Sometimes Alex needed to think through a problem at work without broadcasting his stress to Maya. They established regular check-ins, talking openly about what they were sensing from each other and making sure the connection felt healthy and consensual for both of them. Maya taught Alex meditation techniques she'd learned, while Alex shared breathing exercises that helped him focus his thoughts. It's like learning a new language. Maya explained to Alex one evening as they cooked dinner together in his apartment. The language of each other's minds. Alex smiled, feeling Maya's contentment mixed with his own as she seasoned the pasta sauce. "I never thought I'd be dating someone who literally knows what I'm thinking. Only some of what you're thinking," Maya corrected playfully, "and only when you're thinking about me, or when your emotions are really strong. Your thoughts about whether we need more garlic in this sauce are still your own." Alex laughed, pulling Maya closer to him. The physical contact always made their connection stronger, allowing them to share feelings more directly. He could sense Maya's happiness, her love for him, and underneath it all, a sense of amazement that they'd found each other. "Do you ever miss having normal thoughts?" Maya asked, leaning into Alex's embrace. "Thoughts that stay private in your own head?" Alex considered this seriously. "Sometimes, but I wouldn't trade what we have for anything. I love knowing that you can feel how much I care about you. I love being able to comfort you when you're sad, even when you haven't told me what's wrong yet." Maya nodded against his chest. "I love it too, though I have to admit, it makes arguing pretty difficult. Good thing we don't argue much," Alex said, and felt Maya's laughter bubble up inside her, mixing with his own amusement. They learned that their connection was strongest when they were happy together, and weakened when they were upset with each other. It was as if their minds naturally synchronized when they were in harmony, but created distance when they needed space to work through problems. 6 months into their relationship, Alex and Maya had become something of a legend among their friends. Though no one knew the real reason why, people commented on how well they seemed to understand each other, how they never seemed to have miscommunications, how they always seemed to know exactly what the other person needed. "It's like you two can read each other's minds," Jake joked one day at lunch. Alex and Maya exchanged a look across the table, sharing a moment of secret amusement. "Something like that," Maya said with a smile. Later that evening, as they walked home from work together, Maya took Alex's hand and sent him a warm pulse of affection. "I'm glad we figured this out," she said, both out loud and in the wordless way they sometimes communicated now. Alex squeezed her hand, sending back his own wave of love and gratitude. "Me too. Though I have to ask, do you ever wonder if there are other people out there like us?" Maya paused, considering. Probably. Maybe we're just more aware of it because it happened so dramatically with us. Maybe lots of people have these connections, but chalk them up to intuition. Or coincidence. Maybe we should write about it someday. Alex suggested. Help other people understand what's happening to them. Maya smiled, and Alex felt her excitement at the idea. A guidebook for accidental telepaths. Why not? Alex said, though we should probably wait until we've got it all figured out ourselves. Maya laughed, and Alex felt her joy mix with his own, creating that warm, golden feeling that had become as familiar as breathing. As they walked home together, hands linked and minds connected, both of them felt incredibly grateful for the strange gift they discovered. What had started as an embarrassing workplace situation had become the foundation of the deepest, most intimate relationship either of them had ever imagined possible. And every day, they were still learning new things about each other and about the mysterious connection that had brought them together.